Okay, we just surveyed some high school students, 26 of them, including the ones in this class, of what their favorite social media is or their social media of choice. Um, we recorded our frequency, and now we're going to record this in a Google Sheet. So if you go to this one, the social media one, again, you're going to make a copy of this Google Sheet. Okay. So we're just going to enter in our data. So we had 15 for Snapchat, 3 for Instagram, 8 for TikTok, none for Visco. We are going to put in our total right here so that we can calculate the relative frequency. Now, I know I made you guys add these numbers up, but there is a button, or you can do a formula. You can equal what's the sum. If you had really large numbers, what's the sum of these? We surveyed 26 people. Okay. So also looking at like the worksheet, it says collect the class data, record it in a frequency, and we're also going to do a relative frequency. Do you guys remember how to calculate the relative frequency? Put it over the, what'd you say? The total, yep. So we can do this with the formula. You're going to hit equals. Now it's kind of guessing what we're going to do here. That's impressive. So we're going to take the number of people that responded Snapchat and divide it by our total number. So you can just click on those two cells. So I'll do that one more time. I'm going to hit equals, click, divided by, click. And we'll just keep our relative frequencies as decimals for now. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing then for Instagram. So how many people chose Instagram divided by our total. TikTok divided by our total. Then obviously this one's going to be 0, but you can still go through and do the formula if you want. Okay, so there is our relative frequency. Now you can convert this to a percent if you want to, but for our bar chart, we're going to keep it as a decimal. So moving on to number 4 on this worksheet. So again, I'm going off this worksheet right here. We'll create a bar chart and a pie chart, I probably should say, using Google Sheets. So let's start with the bar graphs. You're going to highlight our social media. Hit control. Do we want to do a bar chart? Let's do it with our frequency, with our numbers here. You could also do it with relative frequency. Insert chart. And it usually defaults to the bar chart. So we could retitle this chart title. If we wanted to, like, social media of choice. Okay, there's a bar chart. If you wanted to do a bar chart with the relative frequencies, you would just highlight these 2 columns instead. You can insert another one of these if you want to. Insert chart. And there it's just plotting the relative frequency. So like the percentage of people that did that or whatnot. Yep, so you highlight these, then you probably have to hit control and then highlight this. Yep. Okay. Did you hit this button on accident? Okay, let's make a pie chart. Now with a pie chart, we usually do like percentages, so we're going to use the relative frequency for that one. So you're going to highlight these social media ones that we want to plot, hit control, hold control, highlight this column as well, the relative frequencies. Insert chart. Now it's going to default to the bar chart again, but if you go over here to chart type, you can select the pie chart. And it reads the relative frequencies as percentages. So again, we probably want to change this to social media of choice. So if you just like click on that title, it should prompt you over here to change it. This is your chart editor. I mean, I think you can like change the colors and stuff, but I'm not going to really mess with that. Okay, so how many of you said Snapchat was going to be the favorite? You're correct with over 57%. Okay, everybody good? Or does anyone need me to show you something else on how to get those charts? Okay, so if you go to the back, we're going to kind of try to do the same thing on here, but with this data. Okay, so I'm on the application problem. You don't need to fill this out. Application problem. Which cell phone speaks to you? The Pew Research Center asked a random sample of 517 18 to 34-year-olds what type of phone they use. Here is their data. The center released this following graph. Why is this graph misleading? People have Androids. People have Androids? That's hilarious. Good, yep. The y-axis doesn't start at 0. It starts at 120, which makes the differences appear greater than they are. So you can write that down on number 1. Vertical axis starts at 120 instead of 0. This makes the differences appear greater. Okay. So then we're going to do 2 and 3 again in the Google sheet here. So after you kind of just talk through that misleading one, if you tab over to cell phone, and we have iPhone, Android, other. All right, so you're going to type in the frequencies that they recorded. Again, you can put your total in here. They gave us a total. Let's see if they did their math correct. Let's calculate the sum. 517, yep. Okay, so it says make a relative frequency bar chart. I'm on problem 2 right here. We're just going to do this. We're going to do these 2 questions in Google Sheets. Make a relative frequency bar chart of the table to display the distribution. So we need to calculate the relative frequencies, and then we'll use those to make a pie chart. Okay, so same thing for relative frequency. Take the number divided by how many people we surveyed for each of those. Okay, everybody good? As a way to kind of check, do you guys remember what the relative frequency should total? 1. Yep, 1 if we're talking about decimals, or 100 we're talking about percents. Good. Okay, so we highlight these, control, relative frequencies, insert, chart. It should default. Oh, it did not default. So we want to do a vertical bar chart usually. So maybe I change this to phone type, title, phone type used. It should be decimals on the side. Should be decimals. And you'll notice if you like hover your mouse over it, it'll give you like those more approximated, or more exact, I should say, more exact decimals for the relative frequency. Okay, so that's all I wanted us to do for number 2. If you want to sketch a picture of it, you can. Otherwise, if you're good, you don't have to. And then we're going to do the same to do a pie chart. So again, I'm going to highlight these, insert. Oh, not a sheet. Whoops. Insert, chart, pie chart. Isn't that cool? Chart title, click on it, come to the chart editor, phone, type used. And again, it converts those frequencies to percentages for you. Crazy, Android, who would have thought? Okay, there's our first activity. No, super fun, right? Second activity, we're not going to do this one in Google Sheets, so I'm going to come up to the board.